Hey, this is Colin from Connected Watts, and this past weekend, the general manager of Peloton Commercial, Rob Barker, who's also the CEO of Precor, which Peloton has acquired and now owns, made a small, if not accidental, announcement that they will be having new French classes coming to the Peloton platform coming soon. During the call, he was talking about Peloton's goals towards expansion and discussing how they're expanding upon their Spanish and French classes. Now, we already knew they were developing more Spanish classes as we've already received some with the new yoga instructor, but French classes is something entirely new. No timeline or additional details were provided, but given Peloton's international expansion goals and their recent expansion into Australia, the big question, of course, now is if France is next on Peloton's list. Now, Peloton has talked about this in the past, where they only really want to expand into countries and areas that already have a large and thriving fitness market. And this is because when Peloton goes into an area, they have a very big vertical platform to develop there. Because not only do they want to sell their classes, they want to set up stores, they want to sell clothes, and more. So they want to make sure that the market is ready for that large vertical expansion right from day one. And after doing some research, for France to be the next country after Australia actually makes a whole lot of sense. The first reason is market size, because as I've mentioned, Peloton wants there to already be a market, and since they aren't going to be expanding into tons of countries each year, they really have to be selective when deciding which countries or which areas to go into next. Because of course they want to grow quickly, and so it makes sense that they want to get into the largest fitness markets first. Now, according to runrepeat.com, France has the 7th largest gym market in the world as of 2019. This is right in between Canada, which has the 6th largest, and Australia, which has the 8th largest. In fact, the only two countries that Peloton has not already been into besides France in this top 8 is Japan and China. And those markets are really hard to get into, especially China, not even to mention that those two geographically would be the hardest to get into logistically. So from a numbers perspective alone, France seems like it'll be a good fit. And there's also another reason that going into France and providing French-based classes for Peloton would be a good idea, and that is because it allows them to expand into the territories that they are already in, especially Canada. Over 20% of the population in Canada speak French, and over 80% of Quebec speaks French. And so having these French classes would really allow Peloton to further dive into and capture more of the Canadian market. And get this, even just today, the Irish Times wrote this article, which says that Peloton is weighing plans to take on up to 70,000 square feet of office space in Cork to facilitate a major expansion of its European operations. The at-home fitness company is understood to have issued a request for proposal through the London office of CBRE in recent weeks to several commercial real estate advisors in the city with a view of accommodating up to 700 workers there. And while this office is obviously not set up in France, it does speak volumes to Peloton's intent to further get into the European market. Now, the GM also announced the expansion of Spanish classes, so why wouldn't I think that Peloton's next country is going to be a Spanish-speaking country? Because there is already a huge incentive for them to provide Spanish-speaking classes here in the US, with over 43 million Spanish speakers in America. Which, if you compare that to French speakers in Canada, there's a big difference there in terms of numbers. So although it is definitely a possibility that Peloton does have plans to roll into Spanish-speaking countries, I don't think expanding their Spanish classes gives us really any insight into that. Peloton, of course, has given no information or details about these upcoming French language classes or any kind of possibility of expansions into other areas like France, but my suspicion is that you'll likely hear more about this in the upcoming months, and if they do announce this year that they're headed to France, the timeline for them to actually do that probably won't be until the first or second quarter of 2022. Let me know what you think about these possible new French language classes. What country do you think Peloton is headed to next? Let me know in comments, press like on the video as that helps me a ton. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Stay fit, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.